In this war, you're going to face more than just droids. And then what was the quote?
Besides Ventress.
General Grievous, besides Ventress, and even Count Dooku. Hello, Anaheim.
That's
Hello, Anaheim.
Hello, Anaheim.
Trying to do a little of older Hayden Christensen, and then younger's a little bit, he's kind of Clone Wars in this. It's also a little Tales of the Jedi, training stuff.
Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
We'll get into that because that scene
we
is
got
so
stuff to
great.
get into.
Welcome back to Star Wars Guys Podcast. As always, we're your hosts, Mike,
Hello there.
Nate, hello there, and you know him well, Uncle.
Hello there.
Wait, are we all reunited? It kind of feels like
Reunited, you feel so good.
I kind of feel like this is, I don't know who is who, but this feels a little bit like a little Sabine, Ezra, Ahsoka just
The
reunited.
triumvirate
It does.
has
It's
returned.
real.
They're all back together. I hope I live to see the outcome.
It's a word that
In
doesn't
that
get much
galaxy.
press. Triumvirate.
Triumvirate.
We're gonna bring that back.
We
Yeah.
need some.
Yeah.
We need to push it out there.
It was great. We're diving into another week of Ahsoka, Part 7.
We only have one left.
Don't say it.
Of Season 1.
We'll retract that. I don't know how many we have left.
We have many. One.
Surprise.
Not only will I not
Extend
say it, I no longer have any idea how many we have left. I completely backtracked.
Hey, I'm excited to dive into this episode. There's a lot of Uncle didn't get to talk with us last time about the
Yeah.
previous episode.
Yeah.
There's
He
a
was
lot that
here.
happened.
He just sat there. We
I
didn't
didn't
let
say
him.
anything.
We didn't let him talk.
Yeah,
I
he was
kept
off
going.
camera.
Talk.
Yeah, but
we can do now.
That's a little
That's the
bit
whole
of I saw someone had a funny comment about Mon Mothma, and because she's great,
It's true. It's
but
like,
a lot of her stuff is just kind of a.
until the very
And
end.
then finally she's like, "What are you playing at?" but like the whole
right.
Senate hearing is
What are you and Ahsoka playing?
small reaction. I kind of like that jab. Senator Ziono.
Touche.
I love that they mentioned Leia and Mon's just like.
Anything else?
Looks down the row.
Nate, we like to start with our overall
Overall
thoughts.
thoughts. Overall thoughts.
We'll try not to go. I always struggle going. We go overall thoughts, and I go, yes, this, and then general Grievous.
That one
and I
part
go-
where-
and I go so deep.
And then he just
Right.
goes straight to the,
But,
the climax.
Since Uncle was not here last week, let's start with Uncle. Overall thoughts on the episode?
Yeah.
Like it, love it, want some more of it. You love it so much, you're rocking in. Oh, you can't rock anymore.
I
in the
can't
chair.
rock. The podcast is no longer rocking. Got a new chair. Why am I talking like this? I don't know.
That's what
Maybe I'll
happens
do
when
it
you
some
miss
more.
a week.
Well, a couple of my guys up there on the scaffolding. is,
Working on the
saying-
coffee in the mine, and here gets me all juiced up.
Is that what happens when I
If you
can't
would have told
ride?
me 3 weeks ago that the episode with Ahsoka having a saber fight with Anakin Skywalker as a continued lesson in the world between worlds where we think she's dead
Yes.
would no longer be my favorite episode, I would have
would
thought
say-
you're crazy. There's no way.
Yeah.
But yet here we are, and this is surpassed. This one is better. I just thought it was great. It was
It is.
unbelievable.
It's
Awesome.
good.
So you would say this is your number one favorite of the season so far?
Of any live action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
I'm
mean,
sorry,
it's
There's
fantastic.
just so many moving pieces in this
And
story. I
everybody's
love
got
it.
their part,
Yeah.
and everything is moving forward. There aren't
very much
pieces that
progressive.
are. We got back to old Star Wars stuff. We got
Oh yeah.
all. You mentioned this all the way back to. We got 3PO in there. We got
Mm-hmm.
Anakin again in there, continuing that story and telling us things we didn't know were happening all along. Where she's watching recordings and got amazing space battles again. We got Thrawn being
Yes.
quintessential like Thrawn.
Seeing the
We got-
tactician
Politics.
Politics, China,
and wigs.
and wigs.
Speaking of politics,
It's
and wigs.
Ezra being Ezra,
yes,
joking as jokey as ever, exactly
Yes.
like he
Yeah.
always
exactly
has been.
like he has always been. despite
So
what people may think.
great.
Making friends with hermit crab folk.
Hermit crab. We got
Loves-
clarification on that. Nobody really like me. Nobody believed that that the Emperor was actually dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
How,
Sabine
That
throws
was
that
great.
in like that's what they
that's
say.
what they say.
How can he die falling down a shaft?
Yeah.
So it was amazing.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I couldn't agree more. I absolutely love this episode. I feel like, to me, as much as this, it's funny because going back to the beginning of the season, we really liked the way it started, and we were like, oh, I mean, this might be. I mean, going back to like the first couple, I know the first two episodes were grouped in together as far as when they released it, but we were saying, we were having discussions on our first podcast episode of the season of, is this our favorite live action premiere, or is this our favorite?
Yeah.
And what's funny is, as good as those were, I don't think anyone would dispute, or I don't think there's any argument that against the fact that those are probably, they're not weaker episodes, but like it has gone like this, the trajectory. It's not like they started off strong,
right?
Then they maybe stumbled along the way, and then they're like, oh, but now they're picking. It almost feels like week after week, I'm like, was that my favorite episode? And then the next week I go, well, I think I like that one better than the one before.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's almost hasn't been any that I'm like,
I
love that, and then this felt a little bit of a step back, or like it feels like we're going. And like you said, last episode, introduction of Thrawn, Night Troopers. We see all the witches, everything that's going on. This episode, you have Thrawn, you have the New Republic politics stuff, which I've always wanted. I mean, going back to even The Force Awakens, it was actually something that I wished we had gotten more of in the sequel trilogy. Was, man, I've always wondered. I would have loved to see, and this is what Mandalorian has done, and then Ahsoka has now. Of we left our heroes in Return of the Jedi singing "Yub Nub" on Endor, and then all of a sudden we cut to. I mean, years have passed, but then we cut to Force Awakens time. And you're like, how did this fall apart? What happened? Why are we in this again?
Yeah.
And seeing the political side of this, the political ignorance. Exactly. Xiono, which by the way, you remember from watching Resistance, right? Kaz, the main character of Star Wars Resistance, this is his father. He's the senator. But I was rewatching some of the Resistance clips this morning.
He's quickly become the worst.
Well, I was watching some of his, and he was totally in the show Resistance. Xiono was like, Kaz, what are you getting involved in? With the Resistance, with those extremists? He's like, Dad, they're not extremists. He's like, you should have just gone to the academy like I told you. He's always just been like, listen, you got everything because of me. He's like he's like typical politician. Yeah. But for this I loved because we got the politics, we got Thrawn, we got reuniting with Ezra, and we haven't even talked about Baylan yet. But my goodness, I'm just. On every single time that Ray Stevenson is on screen, I'm both sad because I know that in real life he has passed away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is his story going? And then we'll even get into it. I'm also a little worried because clearly this show is not going to wrap everybody's storyline.
No.
Because they're either going to have another season and a movie, or we at least know a movie's coming. But I'm like, I'm really concerned that I was glad that Baylan didn't die in his battle in this.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, man, are we not going to see the fruition of Baylan's story with Ray Stevenson? And maybe there will be a recasting and have to finish out his. But
it is
there's so much there. I love this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people talking about that and the continuation of his story, which obviously everybody's been loving his character.
Mm-hmm.
He's just such a medieval knight.
So like it is sad to think, like, if they want to continue his character, that it can't be Ray Stevenson, but everyone also wants to honor his character because he played it so well that we don't want to just throw it aside and not get that story because
he's so much gravitas every time he's on screen. Even just like he says so much with his face, like right after he left the thing with Ahsoka, like when Ahsoka rides off with his howler and he's sitting there, and for like 5 seconds he looks. And he's like pondering what to do next, and he says like 20 different things with just his face, and then he like walks away, and you're like, "Holy cow, what an actor!"
Like, what is this guy?
He's awesome.
To? Yeah. I mean, overall thoughts. Loved it. I like I said. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces, so we'll dive into specifics. But I feel like you kind of mentioned this, or both of you did, about how the story is just progressing pretty well for each character. Like it feels like there's this overarching story of Thrawn trying to make his way back to the known galaxy. But then there's all of this, the reunion with Ahsoka and Ezra and Sabine, and then we even get the tease of Ezra and Sabine, who's going to take the lightsaber because people were wondering, well, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Are we going to see Ezra? Is he just going to get it back?
Yeah.
So they even mentioned that. We get the stuff in with 3PO and Leia, General Organa name drop, and Hera obviously being a part of that. It's cool seeing those two, the connection that they have.
Yeah.
Now that the new Republic has been built. There's just so much. I loved it. And Shin, Hati, and Baylan are some of the most intriguing storylines, I think. Obviously, I'm loving this stuff with Thrawn and trying to figure out what's going to happen or where that's going to go. But I really am probably most intrigued with, like, what is Baylan up to? What is calling to him? What's this power that he's just so willing to tell Shin to just be like, go take your place. Like, I know what I'm after. And I don't necessarily it didn't come across as like, I don't need you, like I'll kill you. It was like, go, like, this is what you want. You're striving for power within the within the order, within the empire. Go take it. I'm after something else.
And to the point where Baylan's no idiot. He's essentially a deserter of war. Like, now he's like,
he knows.
He's deserted Thrawn's. Like, he knows, like, there are consequences from Thrawn for me doing this. Like, I mean, because he knows, like, Thrawn said, go do this, and he knows what Thrawn's reaction might be, and Thrawn's like, it appears we are down one mercenary, and he's like, he's like, well, we can't trust him, and then you just know, okay, now
can't trust him.
He's not only looking for something, he'll even risk his own security and risk having Thrawn after him and Ahsoka and everybody after him,
and being left there
so much.
Like, he knows that Thrawn's trying to get out of there, so he's risking the idea of even just like,
doesn't know how to get back.
I'm not gonna know how to get back, but whatever is calling to me, I'm going for it. Which just makes you wonder what it is.
Curious what it is. The
story.
Too. You said that the stories are true.
If the stories are true.
It makes me think if it's
things like the beginning. The cycle coming to an end.
I saw people mentioning like the Zepho from from Fallen Order, like the beginning of kind of all that, and if there's like some dark side power within that that's calling to him, or if it's, I don't know what it is, but I thought it'd be. I mean, I don't know if this will happen, but I was just thinking, what are some ways that they could, if they continue this story for his character, where it could lead, and then how does that tie in? And there's a lot of people trying to make sense of, well, will this tie into the First Order, or will it be some sort of power that is somehow tied to Palpatine and Snoke and all that? And I was thinking, what if it's none of that? What if it's something we haven't seen yet?
It feels different,
and it's something that is actually what could possibly tie into what happens after the sequel trilogy. It's something that circles back to Rey's continuation of the story that we haven't seen come back into play yet.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the beginning of that threat or something. I don't know.
Could tie to the Dawn of the Jedi.
The Dawn of the Jedi.
Going all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just, nobody knows. New galaxy, new possibilities.
What if it ties into Acolyte?
That would be cool.
That'd be cool.
Like that ancient, distant galaxy that we've now stepped into is somehow connected to the ancient Sith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Man, there's so
wild.
many. I just love that I love that, Dave Filoni in his writing has taken a character that could have been just classic villain, which there's nothing wrong with classic villains, but it could have been just classic villain of his main purpose is not us learning more about him, but just that he's the antagonist to our heroes.
Right.
And instead, I feel like every time they cut to him, I'm like, cool, give us more. Where's he going? What's he doing?
Oh, yeah.
Where, even the great bad guys of old, every time they cut to Tarkin, I wasn't like, I just want to know Tarkin's motives. I'm like, I get it. He's
pure evil.
He's a mustache
He wants to kill all the good guys.
Villain.
Yeah,
exactly. I just so good. I can't wait to see more.
Yeah. Darth in chat says, honestly, it wasn't my favorite episode, but I absolutely loved Ezra and Baylan. Two best performances in the show for me. Parentheses and Hayden. Hayden was great.
Can we talk about Ezra again just real quick? I love, because Ezra is interesting. There's different castings, that have, of the original casting, meaning, I would consider obviously, Thrawn is the same voice actor. He did the voice, so it's not necessarily an original casting because it's like we decided to keep the same person because his voice is iconic and he's also a great actor.
Yeah.
But as far as taking someone, because obviously Sabine is original, they took her, and now live action Hera. I do think of the three of them, and it's nothing against the other two. To me, Ezra feels like he is Star Wars Rebels immediately come to life. Probably to me more than maybe I feel with Hera and Sabine, even though I think both of them are great.
Yeah.
Ezra like immediately feels like his voice almost sounds like him too.
It does.
Like there's where the others, I mean, they don't have the same voice, so they sound a little bit different. But hearing him, it's like, oh, if they took if he was the actor, and he's not obviously, but if he was the child then, and it's now 10 years later, it feels like it could have been the same actor.
The same guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the lightheartedness of course, he's taught the turtles how to slingshot because that's what he used to. Like,
I know, because that's what he's.
Right.
They're doing that, and I also love the one slingshots that hits the thing, and he goes, oh, because they didn't do anything.
I loved one of my favorite scenes in the whole episode is when the dude.
Just
One of
pokes
them
out.
comes out of the shell and just throws a frying pan thing right at the
Just like hits that. Oh,
just right at the guy's head and then goes back in. It's so great.
The way he talked, he was trying to talk out of like
They're
it was
peaceful.
both funny. It was both funny and like, oh, this is so different than what's going on in the scene because that's how Ezra always was. Of, wait, maybe we could just talk.
Yeah.
Prisoners, take us as
Take
prisoners.
us prisoners.
Yeah.
Take us prisoners. Like that's totally how
That's
Ezra
totally
was
him, yeah.
always.
Trying to think
So I thought
just
he was
lasts a
great.
little longer and we'll figure something out.
Yeah. I also like how about the monk style Jedi he is kind of now. He's even more because he's been living with the turtles and he hasn't had his lightsaber. He's like, no, take it.
I don't need it.
I don't
You
need
take it.
Right.
Well, here's a blaster. Nope, the Force is my ally. And then you're like, okay, cool. What's this? And she's swinging a blade at him, and he's catching it.
It was a little Ezra comical. The Force is my ally. Like
yeah.
it felt like a little
It
bit
was.
of
And then 2 seconds later, he's got
the Force is my ally.
The Force is
Force-
pushing him into one of these.
Right, and it was amazing.
It was cool.
Yeah.
How about the blade coming at him and him? Like we've
Kylo
seen
style.
the blades kind of freezing, but this time like he was pushing it in the actual like
see it
plasma that was like
separating.
moving, like he was manipulating it.
Yeah.
That was cool. And like the Force was
Kylo-esque
pushing
with
Very
the
Kylo.
blaster. Yeah.
and very
Kylo.
Chirrut way. Like
yes.
it felt like that if Chirrut could actually use the Force, but like it was
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
that monk
I'm one with the
style
Force. The Force is with me.
of I can defeat all of you without me being the one swinging the blade.
Yeah.
It's I'm
Yeah.
pushing you. I'm doing all this stuff.
Yep.
That was also he gave a little, which felt almost a little Ben Solo-esque of when the blade hit his hair. He turns and
Ooh.
goes like. Like,
Yeah,
remember when
right.
Ben shows up to the Knights of Ren, he pulls
Yeah.
the saber and they go, what? And he goes,
Yeah.
yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like that. It was cool.
It did.
I loved it.
I
I
thought
thought the
Ezra
casting was great.
Yeah, I thought it was spot on. I also liked when they're stalling and then Ahsoka just appears and they're both like, huh? And like just run
Here
and
we
they're like,
go.
all right, we're back.
Here
back
we go.
into action. Ahsoka shows up.
It also is a good contrast of just how much better Ahsoka is. Like how much more of a threat, like how more imposing she
elite.
is as a when she shows up and she gets in front, and Shin all of a sudden has no chance.
Right.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
Ezra and Sabine have been battling against her. This and they're
It
trying.
also
to decide-
shows you how good Baylan actually is to
well-
hold his own against her.
That's right.
not just hold his
And
own.
beat her,
he
really,
holds
the
his
first
own,
time.
and he's blocking her sabers, and he's smiling on her face. Says, "You can't beat me." And like she almost admits like she said,
Perhaps.
perhaps you might be right, but I don't have to,"
Mhm.
which I thought was also good. But
Yeah.
it was cool for him that he again fights her now with 2 sabers because he's never fought her with 2.
Yeah.
Like she has 2 now,
Right.
yeah.
and he's still like, "You can't." He's confident. You can't beat me. I was worried that he was going to die. And I was like, please. As soon as they pulled out their sabers again, I was like, oh no, I don't know
That's it.
too many battles that they
Yeah.
both fight each other and
Yeah.
then they survive again. And I was like, I need to know more about his storyline. So when she rode off with his howler and he's walking away, I was like, oh, thank goodness. I just want to keep this story going.
yeah.
It's like one of the only times where I'm actively not rooting for the bad guy to win because I don't want Ahsoka to get injured either.
Right.
But I'm like, it's just both of you. You don't really want to hurt each other.
Ahsoka's immortal.
Neither of you. I mean, I like when he said, "Oh, this is a surprise." Like, I
Yeah.
didn't expect to see you alive. And she's like, disappointed? He's like, no. He's truly not disappointed
No,
that
not
she's
at all.
alive.
Yeah.
Because he was disappointed he had to fight her in the first
That's
place.
right.
But he's like,
Yeah.
it has to be done. All right. I just love it. Man,
Yeah.
this show.
What are your guys' thoughts on Shin? The encounter, Ahsoka even saying like, "I can help you," reaching out her hand.
It's a classic Star Wars motif for the people to be conflicted in the Force.
Yeah.
Turn to the light, turn to the dark. I there was a moment there we thought, well, now there's conflict. I'm not so sure. I thought she was going to die in this episode.
I did too.
Yeah.
I predicted that there would be a confrontation because we knew they were coming after her.
Mhm.
They had found Sabine. They were coming up on Ezra. We knew they were going to be a confrontation. I thought there's no way both of these Dark Jedi can
Yeah.
escape.
Yeah.
Non-Jedi,
Yeah.
non-Sith. They can't. There's something's
We need a
gonna-
good term for
Something's
it.
going to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was surprised though. But again, we see this theme of we don't win by killing what we hate. We win by saving
Exactly.
what we love.
That's it.
We saw this with Ahsoka, who didn't get caught up in the fact that I can take him out. My real mission is to get to Sabine
Right.
and Ezra,
Yeah.
or Sabine,
Mhm.
assuming Ezra.
Yeah.
And Thrawn is the same way though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thrawn did the same thing.
He did.
He
Oh,
didn't
man.
get caught up in
No.
the side battle.
No.
He's like that served
Oh,
its
yeah.
purpose. The purpose. Remember,
We're
the big
loading the
purpose was to
cargo.
get the cargo
Yes.
so we can
So
leave.
we can
He
leave.
said
We don't need
she
to-
I
lost.
don't
kill.
care if they end up staying here anyway.
He's
So
not
Ahsoka-
interested in just
One of-
killing for the sake
Ahsoka
of
Tano
killing.
lost the one thing she couldn't afford to lose.
Time.
to.
Time. I think one of my favorite moments in the entire episode was when Morgan reports back to Thrawn about General Anakin Skywalker being Ahsoka's master.
Yes.
And Thrawn immediately goes, "Call off the troops." And she's like, "Why?" He goes, "There's no point in wasting our resources." He's basically saying, "Oh, that's who?
We need to change
Trained
our,
her?
We need to
Okay.
change our tactics.
That's a waste.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
a waste because she'll take him out. Like it's not even going to be a threat. She's going to be she's powerful.
Yep.
Not even worth it. Bring back our troops."
Which
I
is
love
like,
that, and I was like,
yeah.
immediately it just shows you
Mm-hmm.
how much he thought of Anakin, but
Yep.
also the respect that he now has for Ahsoka making the trip there
Mm-hmm.
and noticing like, oh, if we send these out, it's going to be pointless.
It's a great call without having to dive too deep into it. It's a great reference to the book Thrawn Alliances, which is it's a new era Thrawn book, so not an old Thrawn
Yeah.
book, but this is canon. Where Thrawn, it's a book about, it's told in a couple different time periods, and part of it is young Thrawn, I believe just pre-Empire. I think maybe he was I think he was pre-Empire, with the Chiss Ascendancy, with his like homeworld organization, and he is like stranded, and he comes in contact with Anakin
Yeah.
pre Vader, and they spend time together, and they actually have to help each other get off of the planet Batu. And they have this, they kind of build almost a relationship where it's like they're not friends, but they need each other's help. But
Yeah.
but also he's not like pure villain at the time, especially in the books. It's a little kind of like it's a little less clear of until later as he starts kind of rising up the ranks.
Well,
and he
Anakin
does
and Tarkin had their own
yeah, they
interactions
had
as well. He
interactions
knew
as
well.
like this guy's something.
Yeah.
So
off.
so
But-
he had
We're all like,
exactly.
Anakin, why do you like Tarkin?
And so
No.
and then later in the book, and then later parts of the book is actually then fast forward to Thrawn working with Palpatine. Now he's in the Galactic Empire, rising up the ranks, and he is working alongside Darth Vader. And because it's a secret, even amongst the Empire, that people don't know who Darth Vader is. And Thrawn in the book pieces and figures out that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. And he recognizes, and he's even, people have said like, oh, Anakin Skywalker, this, and he's like, I knew Anakin, and they're like, oh, he died in Order 66, and he's like, the Anakin, I know, like he didn't like think of me like, oh, I think you would turn. He was like, he wouldn't have died that easily. Like he's like, and he starts thinking like this isn't adding up, and he starts piecing stuff together, and the book kind of ends with him figuring out, and it being a secret. And like a secret that kind of he has that the Emperor doesn't know, that Thrawn knows, that Vader is Anakin.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting when they teased it last week. I was wondering, like, I hope we get into that a little bit.
I
And
know.
again, I didn't think like they would be like,
Oh yes, we spent time on the planet Batu, where you can also go Galaxy's Edge and go buy a nice Jedi robe for $180.
but I
Yeah.
am glad that he was like Anakin Skywalker, and he references enough that generally Anakin Skywalker was unpredictable,
Mm-hmm.
which also makes
And powerful.
and this is
Yeah.
And powerful, yeah.
exactly. And I just love that he's like, if she immediately the fact that she is Anakin's Padawan, all of a sudden he takes her way more seriously and takes her as more of a threat and unpredictable of like, oh wait, because so much of what Thrawn does, which is so cool, is he is a master.
I love how they're showing off his
he's like
strategy.
and he's a
strategic
historian
mind.
of different cultures and different and he even knows like he addresses here like amazing. He's like incredible. This is almost like the Jedi of old. Like he almost says
Yeah.
that with admiration of like, oh, this is almost like because he didn't hate the Jedi. He's not Palpatine who's like Jedi evil. This. He's like, listen, I do what's good for me and what I think is the greater good as far as winning my side of the battle. But that doesn't mean I always hate my enemies. And this. He's like, he's just very matter of fact about it. And so he kind of almost appreciated like, huh. Almost like the Jedi of old, but he knows that the Jedi of old act a specific way and that Anakin does not act like the Jedi of old.
Yeah.
So I like that what we get on screen is, okay, I've kind of been judging this tactical battle of how do Jedi react, because I know how Jedi react. Oh, this is Anakin's Padawan. I have to recalibrate because that's not how Jedi act. Anakin was different.
Right.
She has a little rogue aspect about it, and then I like that he's like, well, then let's pull back, let's get the pieces in place. And we'll be one step ahead of her and essentially lead her. We know she's going to go to her friends, so let's lead her there and get her what she wants, and then be ready to cut her off, into waste, have her waste the time doing that, instead of getting into this battle that can lead to her stopping what our plans are. So I just love it. Was classic Thrawn.
Thrawn, I think, has read The Art of War.
Love it.
You guys ever read The Art of War?
The Art of War. I mean,
pretty fascinating. Yeah,
he is. He is a master of of war.
He's got to know knowing your enemy is one of the
Yeah.
keys to defeating them.
So I thought they did a good job in just. I mean, they did some stuff last week, but in pretty much a single episode, wanting to see like, okay, why is Thrawn different?
Mm-hmm.
And this they showed us some of that, which they've shown in Rebels, but it was good seeing in live action.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's how he treats battles, and also he's like, it's almost can be considered a victory with Tano and because he's not. Sorry, last thought on this. I want to mention this. He is different than like the Emperor, who's like, everyone's expendable. Cool, go bomb this. I feel like I have unlimited resources. Like the Emperor, if the Emperor had all of his resources, and this is where he's different than Thrawn, the Emperor might see, okay, Baylan's out there, Shin's out there, my night troopers are out there. Cool. Rain fire on them, aerial assault, just kill all of them, and then we'll get off the planet. Thrawn's like, we can't lose. I don't have unlimited supplies right now. I don't have unlimited resources. So
he enjoys the strategy.
He likes
winning,
the strategy.
winning with.
And while he's not necessarily loyal to his night troopers like that. Oh, I'll go put my neck on the line to save you guys. It's also like, no, you are. I only have so many pieces, and you are pieces on the board. As soon as we feel like we need what we need, come back. That's an acceptable. He said that's an acceptable loss, but we're not going to just blindly go any further. Retreat. We need to regroup. We got to get out of here. So I just like how he's a lot different than like even Tarkin, because Tarkin's like, seas are red. He's like military, blood hungry. Where he's
it's all about the Death Star.
Different. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Death Star. Let's blow it up. Blow it up. Blow it up.
Yeah, this is
Fear will
different.
keep the local systems in line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tarkin's or Thrawn's not necessarily that way.
No.
The regional governors.
I just like how he's
No.
always said
Right.
that.
Paul Allen, what's going on? He's in the chat. Says, what do you guys think of C-3PO in this episode? I personally don't mind it, but it felt a little cheap fan servicey. It felt like cheap fan service a little bit. Yeah, let's talk about that. We've talked about this a couple times on our podcast over the last couple weeks, especially with like the Anakin and all these different appearances. We feel like, I won't speak for you guys, but we've talked about this before. The term fan service has kind of gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
It's not always a bad thing.
Yeah.
There's a reason They throw out things for fans to please you.
Yeah, right.
Because people like it, and they want to be rewarded for seeing all the other stuff.
But does it fit the narrative? But does it have a purpose?
Yeah, as long as it has a purpose and fits the story, then even if it is just a C-3PO cameo or whatever you want to call it, if it fits and makes sense, then I don't have a problem with it. I think it's sometimes even better, and it's good to get those. I mean, I saw him, I was like, no way, that's cool. Like we got 3PO, and it made sense. Now, they also teased Leia earlier.
That's right.
A few episodes ago. So they actually kind of were setting this up. We didn't know it at the time, but they were setting this up by Hera. I think it was Teva actually that had talked with Leia, saying like basically
she can only
like,
buy you so much time.
She can only cover for so long.
General Organa can only cover us for so long.
Yeah.
So they were setting up the fact that she's on their side, she's helping them, and we talked about on here. Of course, Leia's on the right side.
That's
even
right.
within the rebel, she's a rebel.
That's right.
She's helping them out. And so for her, it felt on par. For one, a good way to do it by mentioning Leia, not having her actually be there.
Yep.
By mentioning her and sending C-3PO on her behalf.
Yeah.
Because she's always saying never underestimate a droid. So she obviously trusts the droids.
Yeah.
She sends C-3PO, someone who she trusts, to go on her behalf and basically relay the information that, no, I gave them authorization. I gave them, And how dare you, basically, how dare you even have a vote or a council without me when I'm the one that controls it.
That's
I
right.
loved it.
She is a senator, but she is so much more.
Yeah.
In the galaxy.
And now she's the head of the Defense Council.
Few names, right? Few names give more clout or credibility.
Yeah.
And I think
to me, she's royal.
We mentioned so he mentioned that Leia was condoning or helping Hera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think by 3PO coming, my daughter, she's 17. She's like, oh, what? I guess they couldn't do Leia. I said, well, this would be something you would send someone to do.
Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily show up for this.
Yeah.
And who would you send? It tells us a lot about the relationship that they have. That 3PO and Leia are still interacting.
Yeah.
He's still a valuable part of what is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for him to come like that, I thought it was great.
I loved it.
I thought it was great.
I thought it made sense. I thought it fit.
Surprising as far as none of us were like, oh, I think 3PO is going to be the next episode.
Right.
I never even suggest. I mean, I don't think.
All you hear
I don't think 3PO's.
And you're like, 3PO?
Put it this way: has 3PO been in?
3PO's got a lot of clout too.
Yes,
he comes in there like, oh.
Yeah.
Has
3PO
droid in the world
been? Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad.
Most important.
Other than 3PO's got the.
Other than R2.
3PO's got the. A patch of the 5 cough drops as a general.
Right, the dice logo.
He's like
little thing he's walking around.
Right.
He's like, I've got a medal that Chewie didn't even get.
Exactly.
Is this the first time? Because I can't remember. Is this the first time we've seen 3PO in any of the Disney Plus shows? I don't know if 3PO's made a.
I think so.
Because R2,
we got R2
and
Mando.
and Mando.
I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember.
And Boba Fett.
Well, and in Mando. In
yeah,
Mando
true.
season
And Mando
2.
season 2.
Remember
and
when
Boba Fett.
Right.
the first deep fake Luke, and then all of a sudden he go boop boop, and R2's in the background.
I think so.
I don't think we've gotten 3PO. So I thought it was a great surprise. I mean, Abigail was sitting there watching me, and I went, "What?" And I was like really excited to get some more Anthony Daniels talking again as 3PO. Every time I think that's his last time, I love that we just keep getting more of him.
Yeah.
Because I thought for sure, at Rise of Skywalker,
yeah,
like that. I know he's been very adamant. He's done stuff for games, and like he loves doing the voice.
He loves it.
For even the shows and everything. But seeing him live action was such a surprise. But it totally made sense to me. This didn't feel cheap. Of like, I mean, I think examples of maybe throwing in fan servicey stuff or like, okay,
forced.
that feels forced. Is there have been Mandalorian's one of my favorite shows. We talked in like season 1, I think, of Mando, the episode where you have the new young bounty hunter and he's sitting in Han Solo's seat and he's got his feet up there.
Propped up.
And then later they make like a high ground reference. I'm like, okay, this feels a little bit like I know what you're doing. it's fine. It doesn't necessarily take me out of it, but it's like the whole time I'm thinking like, okay, this could have been set anywhere, but we just there wasn't a narrative purpose to be
there
back
was
at this
exactly.
spot,
Yeah.
but
Exactly.
you're kind of doing it to try to make you think of that. And so there's times like that I'm like, oh, okay, it feels like, it feels like maybe we're kind of forcing that in a little bit. This didn't feel like that to me because it did feel like, okay,
This
it
bit.
actually makes sense. We talked before. Leia's a huge part of what's going on, especially after the Battle of Endor.
If she's not
And-
involved in some way, it would be weird.
That's exactly right.
And I
Yeah.
kind of think that of 3PO too. Like, it's
Well,
kind
because
of weird.
3PO,
that he's
people
not-
forget that 3PO,
Yeah.
3PO and R2 were doing going all the way back to A New Hope. These are the droids that she has trusted with the most sacred of things and
Right.
Yeah.
tasks, and she is, especially after the Battle of Endor. You would think, yeah, he's with them forever. Like
Yeah.
he's with them to until they're done.
Right.
Which is why even Force Awakens. Oh, you might not recognize me with the red on.
I mean,
but
they
Yeah.
he's
saved
there
the
with-
entire
he's there
galaxy by
with
getting the
Leia.
message to Obi-Wan. So
Yeah.
And so, but this also
Exactly.
felt like something. One, it makes more sense. I think you're right as far as if you kind of feel more real world about it or something. This doesn't feel like something that Leia would have to show up for in person. This is not a trial. This is not Luke.
Too many questions
This
if
is not
Leia
Luke.
shows up.
It's also
Too
this
many
is not
questions.
Luke on trial. This
That's
is her
right.
brother.
Exactly.
She has a relationship with Hera. But just like every politician doesn't go to every single political rally of someone who supports them or stand like
It's a way
They
bigger
simply-
power move to send
yes, you send
Not
someone
a
to make the
person.
message.
a droid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, it's great.
Here's
to
my
send,
information.
You
This
send
is what
the
you
droid
need.
and then also leave essentially send the message that's
belittling.
that also
Yeah.
sends.
Xiono.
Oh, by the way, if you have a problem, let the droid know because it'll get back to me. Like if you have a problem with this, Xiono, we can.
Yeah.
If you still have a problem,
Yeah.
and that's
He's
why
the
Chancellor.
We
worst.
can take it outside.
So I thought to me, it made total sense having 3PO, even though I didn't expect him to be there. Once it happened, I was like, oh, that really makes a lot of sense. And it also makes sense and I think is pulled off better. I think there would have been, even though we've had discussions before of, would they do Luke? Because how would they do that practically? This. I do think that the Carrie Fisher thing is a different thing
Yeah.
than Mark Hamill, who's still alive.
Coming back. Yeah.
Well, it's
It's
not a high
signing
point
off.
of the show either.
Yeah,
Like,
it would be a
Yeah.
lot of trouble and a lot of murky waters, especially with debates and stuff going on with AI and all of these different
Right.
things of especially using someone's likeness now who has passed away for a small moment
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
they can just get across the fact that you are showing the importance of Leia in this by
You're right,
sending
though, 'cause-
3PO, and
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah, and you're right. It would be. I mean, now that you mention it, they almost have to address it some way,
Mhm.
because it would be weird if Leia was not involved.
Yeah,
in
like
this.
what is
Yeah.
she doing?
You're talking about a
Totally.
threat of Thrawn coming back, and
and Leia
Leia's-
has nothing to do with
Leia
yeah.
has not
Mhm.
is not part of it. Like when
Right.
she has, if not the most power, not power,
Just like
but
it-
Yeah.
political. Like,
Yeah.
what am I trying to say? Like
She's the
thoughts.
tip of
like,
the spear,
Yeah,
man.
like,
Totally.
everybody should want to know what
She's-
what does Leia think about what's
Right.
going on.
Right.
Just like it wouldn't have made sense if there's a Jedi, there's a Grogu out there, and we need a Jedi, and Luke is the Jedi of the time,
Right.
and that because it would be too difficult show-wise that they avoid it and go around it.
Yeah,
Instead,
like
they should have used
story-wise-
Mace.
Yeah.
it would have made more sense. Bring him back from the dead.
So you're
Maybe.
right. I mean, it makes, like, in their mind they're thinking Leia has to, like, in the canon story,
Yeah, what's
Leia
she
would
doing
be
now?
involved.
She'd be
She
doing
would be
something.
involved.
Yeah.
How do we practically go about doing that in an appropriate way that can also be done well, that can also not be too much but show that how involved she actually is
Yeah.
without her actually having to be there? Like, these are the things that they're probably thinking through and thought, oh, okay, well, we can do this by sending C-3PO to take her like that. To me fits perfectly,
Yeah.
knowing that of course Leia has to be involved somehow,
Mhm.
because she would be.
And it's an odd. They have a tough thing to deal with because it's not been part of the story before. Like, why did we not hear about this before?
Yes.
And because it's
Mhm.
fringe, and
Exactly.
because it's conspiracy theory ish,
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense that it's not like common knowledge. Everybody's not talking about this because it's still kind of fringe.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Definitely.
So I think the story will maybe continue to be kind of out there, like
because
not
as soon as
central.
it becomes so central,
Yeah.
then you would think,
why wouldn't
this,
I? So maybe they'll just do it and deal with it, but it explains why she's not there because she wasn't there before. We
Totally.
didn't hear about it before. Yeah.
It also explains,
Yeah,
and who
yeah.
knows where the Filoni movie goes, but it also explains why it's not, okay, why is our first call not to, if this is big galactic stakes, because it is galactic stakes, but it's like only some people believe it's galactic stakes.
Rumors.
Right.
Rumors. If it was in your face, the Empire's back, this or this, and everyone agrees, of course the first call is, okay, Luke, we need you to come. Even though you have been important Jedi business, Luke always is there to help if the fate of the galaxy is it. Like that. So this is also, I think, keeping it fringe. And it's just interesting, though. I love what they also did in this scene is having Carson stand up and go, what about the conflict on Mandalore? Which also it lets us know the time period. Because
Yes.
I've wondered during
It
this
also
show
was him
are
saying,
we past
Are
season
they-
3 of
Yeah.
Mandalore
Right.
yet? Where are we caught up
Yeah.
wise? And then they mentioned Gideon. It ties in the two.
he
I
was
thought
also
that this episode
giving an
might tie
example
in.
of the idea that the remnants are still out there.
Yeah, and that the
Because they
Imperial
laughed. Hera
remnants.
mentions.
and he's like remnants. What a sensational term, says Zio.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, remnants, like, oh, space whales, Jedi. This reads of children's stories.
yeah.
Okay, buddy, your planet Hosnian Prime gets blown
Yeah.
up.
And then
'Cause we know what
and then
happens.
Carva's like, or Carson Teva's like, well, we know this. I was literally there.
I was literally there.
He's like, I've seen Moff Gideon. We know there's Imperial remnants
Do
out
you
there.
want to see who's on speed dial? I have
Yeah.
someone named Mando. Someone named Boba Fett, who
Oh, God.
I used to have him as Mando 1, but now, now there's
right.
another Mando. So we
Right.
got Mando, Bo-Katan. I also have this Luke character. We got.
You might have
Are
something
you
to say
sure? Why have
about
I
it.
been calling these people? Are you telling me nothing's going on?
Yeah.
I saw a Boba Fett ride a Rancor.
Teva's got the most impressive friends in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention Zeb. He's hanging with the crowd.
Zeb.
yeah. Zeb.
Yeah. Oh, is this
Yeah.
also?
Did you guys? Oh, I read about this after, but I just had this sense of all these Empire Strikes Back vibes. Did
Yeah.
you feel this?
Hiding in the asteroid field.
Oh,
going
yeah.
into the asteroid field, hiding inside almost like inside the worm's mouth.
Yeah.
Because then you
Yeah.
go inside the space whale's mouth.
Yeah.
There's definitely a number.
Well, with
Never mind.
Shin, where she's trying to give him to, I can help you, give up
Yes.
Saber. Yeah.
Also, the calling out to Sabine
That was
The
a big one.
very
The
Luke,
Luke.
and Leia.
That was Bespin.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
We have to go back. I know where Luke is. I've watched this compilation video with
Yeah.
Isaiah recently,
Yeah.
and I know the exact delivery of each of those lines because there's that Galaxy of Adventures, that animated compilation thing. Isaiah watches it like every single day, and so it cuts to all these. On Bespin, and it has the narrator guy doing the stuff too. Our friends face grave danger while Han Solo will be frozen in carbonite. And then it cuts to the scene, and it's all animated.
Well, that's
and
the
stuff.
Lando. He's like, okay.
Yeah, he does.
What am I not going
It's-
back? What are you? Okay.
There's still a chance to save Han.
Stop saying his name that way.
Say Han. Han.
Go ahead, kill him, Chewie.
Why did that just remind me of a little Ricky Bobby of like, break it, Pepe Le Pew. He says, but it's just
I'm
He
just
actually
saying,
did it.
We had some of them this morning. They were good.
They
Remember?
were good.
Oh,
I love those things.
I love those
them
things.
pancakes. Those are good.
The
man.
best part of that scene
I'm not saying
is
that.
that,
He
is
says,
that
"I love
even
those things."
after John C. Reilly says, he's like, oh, we love those. Yeah. He's like, so what do you think? I still wouldn't say it. So it's like, break it, Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, he really did it.
I really
He
did
actually
it.
did
He
it.
actually did it. They both
It just
say,
cuts
"Oh,
and
I
he's
love
going.
that. I still
It
wouldn't
cuts
do
and
it."
he's going. Just cutting his cast off.
These
Oh,
colors don't
man.
run, Ricky Bobby. These colors don't run.
Something I
So
did not
great.
predict was a
Ricky Bobby
tangent.
A Ricky Bobby cameo on the Star Wars guys.
Star Wars guys
Yeah.
podcast.
Man.
But
Speaking of that, the Wizard of Oz is a.
do we think this is Akbar? I mean, he's sitting
Oh
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted them to be done, like finish up and him take a gavel and go, "That's a wrap." It just, it's like everything
That's
he
a wrap.
says has to rhyme with trap
It's a-
at this point.
I'm sorry.
That's a wrap.
It's a nothing. Never mind.
I've been holding this in forever. Yeah. I'm now that Shin is still she ran.
Oh,
but
the other
she
one
was
was
hesitant.
sorry. The other one was the minefield.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, the
minefield.
Like,
minefield.
like,
Sure.
like the
Definitely.
asteroid. I
You're
remember
right.
that. Yeah.
That was cool.
Mhm.
And the space wheels. I'm glad they survived
Oh, I was
because
worried
I
for
was
them.
about to be heartbroken.
I love
Then
that
where are they
she's like, well, at
going?
least we have cover,
And
and
they
they go,
jumped
pew,
out.
pew, we're out
Right.
of here, and they go, you had
But-
to bring it up.
It made sense though, because now it shows. Wait, they're not here to take them back either. Who knows when
No.
they'll come back again?
Right.
So I thought that was interesting too.
You guys notice how much his Clone Wars armor really looks like Vader?
Yeah.
I mean, like he looks like if you
It's
put on a
fashion.
helmet there,
It's
it's
It does.
very Vader.
It
Yep.
does.
Very Vader.
I'm interested
Sorry, I
to
was
see
talking about Hayden, by
where
the way.
Shin goes.
showing pictures that no one can see but
Akbar's
us.
armor. Yeah.
Now that Shin did survive,
Yeah.
and Baylan, neither of them died yet.
Right.
Um,
Nobody died
and then
except the duct tape.
Ahsoka offering her hand
duct tape
to
troopers.
and seeing a little
Yeah.
hesitancy. It makes me wonder if they're teasing a possible redemption for her. And the reason I say that is because she's clearly being trained by Baylan in the wild,
Mhm.
and then he mentions the Boken Jedi being
Yep.
trained in the wild,
Yeah.
and she kind of lights up when he says that and goes like me. Like she almost is like gets excited with the idea of thinking that she could have been that she's a part of this Jedi, this order that once was.
Mm-hmm.
That she has no idea what it was about or what it was. And he's like, no, I trained you to be something more. But she is repeatedly shown like a fascination with this idea of the Jedi, with an order, with belonging to something.
Mm-hmm.
That it makes me wonder, like, is she? It kind of felt very Rey-esque, like she's longing for like a group or a family of like belonging in something, fitting into
To be
finding
connected.
her place in this.
And then Baylan basically just said, "You're on your own."
Yeah. So it makes me wonder,
you're
like,
off.
is there a possibility that she'll kind of long for that enough to turn to the light and recognize, like, this isn't what I'm looking for?
I think so.
Um,
That would be great.
And I think it would be
Perhaps.
cool to parallel if Ahsoka like does help her out. This idea of her master being Vader and then turning
Right.
to the dark, and her now actually having an opportunity to bring someone who's dark back to the light would be a cool like contrast.
Yeah.
Did we take it as her riding back to Thrawn? Is that what she's riding?
I
Or
took
riding
it as
off.
them just leaving her.
That's
like
what I
they
did.
left
That's
her,
what I
and I
thought.
thought, oh, it's her trying to make it. I don't know. Maybe it's her trying to make it back.
I thought
But
she was
also
going
was
back,
showing like they obviously just left you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't wait for you to get on the ship.
Although they haven't left yet.
But-
No. I mean the two
Oh,
Ships,
those
they
ships.
just-
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the ships
Transports.
they called back.
Totally.
Like they didn't wait for her to board. They're just like, all right, we're out of here.
Out.
Dude, I
And-
like the way that they handled. I thought it was so cool when Baylan's like, I like the fact that Baylan's like, listen, we clearly don't have the same aspirations.
Yeah.
Like you keep saying this, like, oh, is this our chance finally, Thrawn's empire? He's like, listen, if that's what you're concerned about, like, I'm not gonna stand in your way. Go
Yeah.
take your spot, get the power you want. Like,
To me, it
My-
felt a little harsher than that.
yeah.
It almost felt like he was saying,
Like you're not. I
I
can tell
don't-
you're not.
I don't want you with me on this."
Yeah.
Yeah, like I
Like,
almost
maybe I
want
can tell your heart's not. in
you've
this
you've
with
helped
me.
me
Like, you're
get to
out.
where I am now, and from
It
here
felt
I
like-
want this for myself.
Yeah.
It felt like both to me. It felt
Yeah.
like, all right, we're done. Our paths are split now. You need to go pursue that, and I don't want to share this.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like both.
Man, I wonder
Yeah.
what
You know?
where is he
Like
headed?
he's a little.
What is?
I want this for myself.
Let's yeah, I think you're exactly
Maybe.
right. I think you're right. It does feel a little bit of because
he
his
didn't offer.
character is
He
so
didn't say,
interesting.
"Do you want to go with me?" Or
No,
he
didn't.
said, "Now's your chance to go."
I kind of took
I'm
that
going this
also
way.
as like I liked it. It kind of felt almost like it shows how powerful he is too. That
Yes.
he can feel her too and where she
Yeah,
is too. That
that's
he's
true.
like, I
I know
I
what you
like
want.
the fact that it's not like classic. Like, do you want to come with me? He's like, I feel you. Your mind
want
is
that,
made up,
you go do
or at
that.
least I've made up to know that you are not in line with me enough for you to come with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So I'll make the decision for you. I'm going. You need to go pursue. I've seen enough. You clearly
Yeah.
don't want to do this with me.
Mhm.
Go. And not like, hey, this is your moment. You got to decide this.
Yeah.
He's like, I know where your heart lies. Go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I thought that was
think-
both a cool power play of I'm going to decide for you,
Mm-hmm.
but also it's because just like,
That's what she wants.
Luke
He
consents
knows.
where Ben's heart has already turned. He
Right.
consents to her of, I know what you're longing for this.
Yeah.
And I don't long for that.
Yep.
Go.
Yeah.
Go. You can't come with me anymore.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think part of the reason why I'm interested in possible redemption too for her is, well, I'm not saying this it'll happen next episode or even anytime soon. Even if they do another season, it might not happen. It could be a gradual thing where maybe it happens in the movie that comes out or something. But part of the reason why I'm also interested is that a lot of times we get these redemption arcs and it's that character dies. Like Vader gets
Yeah.
redeemed and it's the end of his
Right.
story. Kylo gets redeemed and it's kind
Yeah.
of cool that we don't know a ton of what she's done so far. We know that she was just raised on the dark side, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like she's known enough really to make a choice herself.
Mm-hmm.
And because we haven't seen what she's done so far, we don't have this mindset of like, well, Vader and Kylo blew up planets. So like if they're redeemed, they'd still have to answer for what they did, and
Mhm.
so naturally we're going to have to
And we know she's killed people, but we're
Yeah.
following her master's orders.
Yeah, and
essentially doing
so
a lot
she's
to it.
hungry for this power and stuff, basically because she's told
Right.
that she needs to. And so it feels like this could be a character where, because of that, we can redeem her and still get a story play out of seeing her redeemed and continue that story on the
Mhm.
light side, because we don't really get that very often.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a good way to kind of possibly get a story like
I
that to
agree.
be told.
I think one thing I want to mention when we talked about the episode with Anakin and Ahsoka,
Ugh.
what she has learned, what did she learn from this?
Yeah.
Part of it is that every encounter is not about killing.
Mm-hmm.
It's about life. It's about living.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we also know from old Star Wars that the key to success for redeeming Vader was compassion.
Yeah.
It wasn't defeating him with the saber. It was kindness and love. And now we've seen Ahsoka not stay in battle Baylan because she's going to go
Yeah.
save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've also seen her. Would Anakin have pursued Shin back in the day?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It's too
yeah.
powerful to let him. It's too
Yeah.
powerful.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah.
what do you do? How is it different if Anakin is there compared to Ahsoka is there? I wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would they have been in pursuit?
It's a good.
I don't know. They're going to chase her on though. But
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
bring up something.
would
that-
he have just let? Would he have left with Baylan, or would he have stayed there to defeat him?
Yeah.
Would his pride have allowed him to do what was,
What Ahsoka did, or would he?
or would he
Defeat
stay and
him.
fight? Exactly.
Take him out.
powers
I
have doubled
think-
since we last met, Counts.
I think he
Yeah.
would not
Anakin
have
was always
left.
About, I will not lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
he would have left
You're right.
either battle.
Yeah.
But Ahsoka does. It's a
I was
much
watching
more
this clip that reminds
compassionate-
me, and it's going off of how Anakin was.
Yeah.
I was watching this clip, and it was from Clone Wars, and it's Obi-Wan. I think even like the Duchess Satine is there, and Anakin, and I don't know if Padme's there, but basically they're all in this like shootout where they're all like basically holding, and they're like I can't remember who it was, but the person they're trying to capture, whatever at the time, is like, hey, we're in a stalemate. Whoever acts first, just know you're murdering someone in cold blood, because we're all. And then out of nowhere, you just see him get stabbed in the back, and it's Anakin with his lightsaber, and he goes, and Obi-Wan goes, Anakin, and he goes, what? He was gonna blow up the ship. Like it was like he's like, I'll
What am I
do
supposed
it.
to do?
He's like, I'll do
Right,
it.
right.
And his response was, he was gonna kill us all, so
Right.
someone had to do it.
Mhm.
But it shows you, like, even Obi-Wan, these other people were like hesitant to. We know it's kind of morally
Yes.
not there, but then there's Anakin just stabbing him in the back.
What was that Clone Wars episode where he did that? Where he's like, I need to do something, and
Oh, yeah, he is-
I'm not. Don't ask me about it.
Yeah, he has.
He had
Yeah.
that dilemma. Remember
Yeah.
that?
He had one of them. He like kind of tortures someone.
Yes, that was it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he's like,
That was it.
this is not the Jedi way at all. But he's like, what? I got the answers, didn't I? And like
yeah.
he legitimately like tortures someone.
yeah.
to get the info.
And apparently Ahsoka did that too, because we heard at the beginning of this show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I got what we
I
needed.
got what I needed.
Yeah.
Conventional. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Not
you're right.
Conventional Jedi. I like a call back to some things that I love that they're what they're building on. One, I got to give a little bit of mention to last podcast episode. Nate and I had it wasn't even a debate. We just had a question of, do we think this was the end of us seeing Anakin in the show?
We got the lines.
We got the lines from the trailer.
Yeah, now it's all.
We were wondering if there was, at the time, we were like, was this just trailer talk? Because we thought, and I think,
I don't know. I
Is this
heard
just
trailer
trailer
trash just a
Just
second.
what we were going back and forth was, okay, it feels like she has moved beyond the world between worlds.
Yeah.
So we were like, I don't think they're gonna go back to that in this season. And she had learned her lessons from Anakin.
We were even kicking around like, is it Force Ghost Anakin?
Like, is it Force Ghost? Is it this? I like that it was none of those. It was hologram training Anakin.
And
she's
she
like,
teased that you made
there's
20 more of these.
but this was the last one.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they are continuing what they built on in that episode of, you are not, even Anakin is not all one thing or all, even though his dark side, aside from Palpatine, is like worse than anything we've ever seen. As far as what he did once he went down the dark side, went down the path, was awful. There's no gray area about it. Murdered a bunch of people is a reason. A lot of plants blew up, all this stuff. But he also was a very good master to Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Like that both things are true. And so I like the fact that when she's training here, and Hu Yang, who's been around for 10,000 years or whatever, he's like, I didn't know he made these for you. Like, and he was even like, oh, that reveals a little bit to me, a little bit more about how Anakin was and she's like, yeah, he made 20 of these for me. And she's like, she like nods her and she's like, he was a good master. And like, she's also reaffirming the fact that she's at peace now with the Anakin situation of, what I learned in that world between worlds.
He can be a good master and also have been manipulated to become this evil.
Yes.
Yeah, all that is
That doesn't
all
mean
that's true.
what he did for me wasn't good.
I know I wasn't here when we discussed that episode because I was out of town, but I think it was funny. I saw someone point out online that I thought it was kind of funny because I love every single scene between Ahsoka and Anakin when he's teaching her this lesson of live or die, and like you have to move beyond your guilt or else you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep fighting. You can't let, because of what happened to me, be like that. That's the finish of the story. Because even he, in the end, turned back, and he helped defeat the Emperor at the time. But I like the funny thing I saw online is I like that Anakin gets a little bit sensitive when she's like, yeah, you are more dangerous, Anakin, or you are more Anakin, but more dangerous than any of us realize. He's like, is that what this is about? You learn nothing. Back to the beginning. And I saw someone say, like, that is funny that he's like, you're upset about me killing millions of people? That you haven't learned anything.
Start over.
They're like, he's a little sensitive about the fact that he's
a mass murderer.
He was terrible.
Like, so even though I think that obviously they handled that situation funny, someone pointed out online and said, it is a little comical that Anakin gets a little sensitive when he's like, you're hung up on the fact that I killed a bunch of people.
Don't let it go, okay?
You've learned nothing. Back to the beginning.
That I left you behind and tried to kill you.
You're
Then
upset.
you will die.
I do think
You're
it's
upset I destroyed the entire Jedi Order. You didn't even like them.
You left them.
I wouldn't have killed them. I don't like them.
right. I think one thing that I always underestimated is the power of the dark side. No, really, it's true because at some point it's no longer. Anakin is gone.
Yes.
He's when they say consumed.
Yeah,
and that's what Kenobi.
You are now being controlled. It's past you.
It really
and
is.
It's more of a slavery than it is a decision.
It makes sense when
now you take yourself to the point with bad decisions.
Yeah.
Once you cross over, now you are a slave to the dark side.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
and
the
you are
difference
being
when
used.
When we see Ben Solo, he has a different. When Ben comes out of being Kylo, he has a different. His whole personality is different.
Yeah.
It really is almost like.
Yeah.
you go down. He
You're
says whenever
possessed in a
you start
way.
going down
Takes
the
control.
path of the dark side, forever will it dominate your destiny. He actually, what's great is the way that they've told us over time. It actually does lend more credibility to what Obi-Wan originally says.
It
Anakin
does.
is dead. Like
does.
what I thought.
Well, yeah, it's what
that
they
the
laid
Anakin
out in
Skywalker
Kenobi
that
so
I
well.
knew
Yeah.
was dead. And so when he tells Luke he
Yeah,
was killed by
Obi-Wan.
Darth Vader, it is almost like like imagine.
I am what remains.
It's almost imagine like a. It's a weird analogy, but almost like an exorcism possession type of a thing.
Yeah.
Like, no, that the person is that there's something else inhabiting their body now. This darkness is taken over, and then it leaves, and it's like, oh, they're back. The person I know is back. Where it's not like, yeah, this person is just making bad decisions. Yes, he did that. That's what got him into stepping over the line to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it has you, it has you. And then, like,
Anakin's
it's
gone.
something
It's
else.
the power of the ring.
Anakin's
That's
gone.
exactly.
I am what remains.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, I think that moment in Kenobi, I think, lays it out perfectly. And
It does.
even he himself is saying, no, I hate Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
I hated Anakin. Anakin was weak. I killed him.
Yeah.
He's like, you think you hurt Anakin on Mustafar?
Yeah.
You think you killed Anakin?
How arrogant, basically. of
He was
you.
already dead.
Mhm.
I already killed him. So I think that's the idea of, like, are they the same person? Yes. Are they, like, spiritually the same person? No.
No, not at
they're
all.
not. They're not.
I think Filoni has, anybody in this modern era making Star Wars now, we have to, like you mentioned, Mike, you can't just say the guy in black is going to kill everybody and the girl in white's going to save everybody. There's gray all along there, and we
Yeah.
need to tell. It's Breaking Bad is ruined everything, because now the bad guy has to have. I mean, it always did, but there's this transition you're going through from good to
Totally.
bad, bad to good.
Yeah.
There's motivations. There's good parts of
Complex.
bad. There's bad parts of good. So they have to. It's much more nuanced in the storytelling.
Yeah.
You can't just blow up planets and have the good guys come and save it. It's harder.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and also Filoni operates within the rules.
That's
we
the
we
thing.
have to be. We have his underlying job. I think underlying rule is there. It has to provide hope.
Yes.
We can't be.
Yeah.
We can't just be gratuitous. We can't just be. We have to provide hope. That's the whole point. So
Totally.
not every
Yep.
episode, not every chapter, but
Mhm.
the trajectory
The
is
story.
toward positivity.
Yep.
And there's
Yep.
you're
But you
talking
have to
about
walk that
he
line back
also-
and forth.
Yeah.
It's
the line,
hard.
He also has to thread the needle on, which I think he's doing a great job of showing the complexity while also clearly showing that this is right and this
That's right. You
is
have to,
wrong.
have to show it.
Because where people, I think, sometimes, especially in like internet culture or YouTube culture, it's easy to go, oh, there's the Andor's a great example. There are good people in the there are quote unquote good people in the rebellion, in the name of the rebellion, who do some despicable things or
Right.
do hard
Yeah.
things or do brutal things in the name of war.
Yeah.
There's also some people on the side of the Empire in like Lost Stars
Yeah.
who
Genuinely
are
think they're doing
who
good.
genuinely do not know the bigger plan of what's going on, as far as they don't know Death Star, all this stuff. They think, okay, I'm getting sent to work on this space station. I hear that some rebels, to them terrorists, blow up
Right.
this space station that kills 1 million people, a bunch of which I went to the academy with. They must be the bad guy. But what Star Wars and what Filoni's doing a good job of is, just because there's some confusion on this side or there's some bad acts going on the good side, make no mistake, the Empire are the bad guys.
They're the bad guys. These are the good
These are
guys.
the good guys. It's not. This is not a situation of, well, you both have good points. Like, no. The
These are
side with
bad-
the Emperor is bad.
Right.
The side
Yeah.
with Princess Leia is good.
Right.
Like there's no gray room on. There's no gray area as to which side is the noble fight. But there are
a lot of people in
murky
between.
things along the
yeah,
way.
Yeah.
In the good people, and some of even like a Han Solo. That's why people love Han Solo from the very beginning, and why it's funny now with the way George has kind of tinkered things. What made Han Solo, especially in the very beginning, so interesting from the very beginning is, oh, this guy, he it steps over the line a little bit
He's a
by
good guy
shooting
wearing
Greedo.
black.
He shoots Greedo before Greedo can get him. You're like,
That's right.
ooh, that was. What is the fact that he was armed? Is that technically self-defense? Is he? You start getting into this. Like,
Yeah.
No, he got him because he's
Where's the
not
moral
gonna
line?
get got. Like he's not gonna
Yeah.
wait and let you
Right.
get him.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's also not gonna, he's not gonna sneak up on somebody behind their back and just gun them
Yeah.
down. And like he's like he reread the situation. I am either walking out of here alive, or Greedo is, because he came to kill me. I have read the situation. I
Right.
know he's here. Boom, I'm
Yeah.
gonna take you out. And
That's made that character, and there's a lot of characters
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
now.
yeah,
It's-
but that at the time
For
was very
sure.
interesting because they clearly,
You're a
especially-
spice runner? You were a stormtrooper? We can do this all day.
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly. Zori
Yeah.
Bliss. Zori's a great character as far as newer characters like that. She clearly has some sort of a checkered past. She's doing things, and then
She shows up when it matters.
She shows up when Lando
Yeah.
rallies the troops. She shows up,
Right.
the Battle of Exegol. She didn't have to do that. She's doing this for the galaxy.
Yeah.
Reminded me of Cyril Karn
Love it.
saving Dedra, like that whole.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just evil, and he's trying to climb a ladder, but still, there's something.
There's something there.
There
love
is.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, because we probably should wrap up here in a minute, do you guys have any predictions for the finale
Finale,
episode? I'll
They-
throw one out there. I don't know if it's a prediction, but it's a question that you guys can answer.
Yeah.
Will we see Thrawn make it back to the known galaxy in the finale?
I say yes.
Is that how we
Like, did they leave? They
And-
leave Peridia.
they
Yeah,
leave
I think
and
so.
make it back to where people now know Thrawn's here?
I think so. I don't know necessarily. I don't think he shows up on Coruscant.
No.
That feels like all of a
He'll
sudden
go to
that'd
the
be-
planet where we
That
saw
feels
him.
like all of a sudden it's like, okay, we are Luke. Like this is the new thing. I do
Right.
think he maybe goes to Satos.
Satos.
Or because they travel back.
It seems like that's the path back.
that there's somewhere outer rimish, like that they come back, that they start building.
Yeah, do we see him? That's the thing is like, do we see, is it Thrawn comes back and it's boom, like he's just out for battle, he's ready? Or is it he gets back and now needs to rally before we see any big battle or anything happen with him, before he makes himself known that he's back
Mhm.
to everybody else. He's back but has to rally the remnants.
Well, remember Gideon's little Zoom call with all the other
yeah.
Yeah.
with all the other
Talking about Thrawn. We don't even know if he's out
yeah,
there.
I mean, even Hux, you saw Hux's father
Yeah.
Yeah.
and these other Imperials, and they're even wearing their stuff still. You're like, Thrawn comes back. Word that Thrawn's back. You got to imagine some of these guys with their little factions and stuff are all going to start rallying
Yeah.
behind him.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to think of the Imperial remnant and not think of necessarily First Order. Now, there's some connections of how they get, because Hux
Yeah,
does become First Order,
They transition.
but also it being different than Final Order, than
Right.
Palpatine's plan of what's going on Exegol and all that stuff. So it's
Yeah.
it's interesting the different threats that are out there.
Could we make predictions about the groups here real quick?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it.
So we talked about Thrawn coming back, Morgan Elsbeth with him,
Yep.
sisters come back, mothers come
I
back.
say they
Or
come
do
back.
they stay? Yeah, I think they
they're
come
bringing
back.
the cargo.
They're
Come
bringing
back.
the cargo. They need him.
What about
Or he needs them.
Shin? Does she get back and comes back with
Oh,
Thrawn? What do you think?
I am wondering if she doesn't make it back in time, and that leaves her with the choice of, do I stay here or do I now confront Ahsoka
That's a
and
good
try to
thought.
figure out where I'm going, or do I now have to turn and go try to find Baylan? Like leaving her in this place
Yeah.
of, what am I gonna do now?
My prediction for Shin is she makes it back and becomes the saber muscle for
The
Thrawn.
the Force
For
user
Thrawn,
for
yeah.
She
Thrawn.
becomes
Yeah.
Thrawn's. She takes Baylan's place
makes sense.
as
That's
the
what she
loyal.
wants. That's
Yeah.
what she
I
wants
think
too.
that, and
I can
does
see
come
it.
back with him.
I
Yeah.
could see that
She
happening.
becomes the Vader
yeah.
to the Tarkin, like that relationship.
And then
Yeah.
that's the
I can
moment
see it.
Thrawn sees and it's like, this is why you're different than Baylan. You're
Yeah.
here. So I like
Yeah,
that.
reward
Like
her
Thrawn
for-
rewards
Thanks her
her.
and-
yeah.
yeah. What
I can
about
see that.
what about Baylan? Do you think it's possible that he just vanishes into the distance on his mission and that's how we end his.
And we don't get his. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be tough for them to try to wrap up like that and the Thrawn stuff.
I do feel like we're gonna get some more Baylan next episode.
I think
though,
we'll
with
get.
How much
I
they
think we'll get a
focused on him
teaser.
this episode.
I think we'll get a tease at what he's looking for.
How cool would that be if we get Baylan stumbling upon what his mission is, but we don't know what that is?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's
we
what
get
we get.
Thrawn and his crew coming back.
Yep.
Okay, what about the
I think that's
triumvirate?
it.
We get the turtles just making some turtle soup or
Yeah,
whatever.
They
they're
decide.
They just
Why don't we just stay here?
doing.
get-
Say
But Ezra,
we got turtles.
Ezra, why are you so eager to go home? I
Maybe
thought
I'll
we had a
talk
good
like this
thing
now.
going.
Ahsoka's like, Ezra,
The turtles are mad. Ezra, we had a good thing going.
come on.
The ghost of Kanan Jarrus pops up. Ezra, enough with the turtles. It's been 10 years.
Wait a minute, Freddie Prinze Jr., you're not
Hey.
contractually obligated to do this show?
That's it.
Okay, so I think that makes
Yeah.
sense. What about the three? How do they get back? What do they?
Do they? Because they got a space
Do
whale
they-
it back. They
Do they
don't have.
sneak onto Thrawn's ship and I don't know.
I don't think that would be possible. Would it be?
No.
Would it
No.
be?
I
No,
don't know.
I don't know. I
We
don't
do know the space whales survived.
Space whale, but
That's the only way they could get back.
I'm thinking like because she connected with them, maybe she can like connect.
Aquaman
with
them back.
Yeah.
The old Aquaman.
And those
from
space whales are
She's
sitting
like,
there.
no, I disarmed all the mines. You're good.
The space whales are back
I
on.
promise.
The space whales are back on Satos right here, sitting in their beach chairs, taking the sun. They go,
Did you get
oh,
it?
go back to that place where we almost blew up. No thanks.
That's what the space
Yeah.
whales do. Like,
Ignore.
We almost
Snooze.
It was-
died.
it's Ahsoka.
Snooze.
Last time we let
She go
you
away.
fly with us.
She go, wait a minute.
That's it.
I think it feels.
Last time we trusted you, you literally had us
Yeah,
appear
really.
in
You
a
showed up with
minefield.
bombs. It feels a little bit. I'm not sure. About
I don't
how
know.
it
I don't
feels.
know what happens with the three.
They got to get back. Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
I feel like they get
Wales
back
seems like the
somehow.
only possible.
I think they all
way.
get back somehow, and then Baylan does not. He stays.
Yes,
I think
They all get
next-
back somehow. Baylan does not get
does
back.
not come back.
He
Yeah.
stays, and we get a teaser as far as what it is. He stumbles across something. He says something out loud that acknowledges that the stories of the children's stories are true,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's it. We don't know what that means.
Thrawn beats him back though.
I wouldn't be
believe.
surprised if next episode is just all focused on Mando. It doesn't show any of these characters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
well,
a- it's-
Mando and Zeb.
We're
it'll be a
due.
Grogu.
Just
It's the Mando
episode.
and it's the Mando Zeb.
Wait, imagine instead of like the Book of Boba Fett, where they go and they take a Mando episode, but they do a finale. With a finale, they have no
Finale.
Ahsoka in it. It's just Mando.
Just Zeb.
Dave, John, just spitballing here.
Do we?
How about we do a Mando finale?
Do you think we get
For
a
Ahsoka.
tie
You
to
think?
Mando?
Okay,
Actually,
I'll
though,
talk to you later.
Ahsoka
in the
means
finale, do you
curtains?
think we get any tie to Mando and Zeb?
Well, they mentioned Mando. They
Wow.
mentioned.
Well, we
they
got
mentioned
Moff
Like even if
Gideon
it's
in
just
there.
Teva just rallying the troops.
Well, Teva mentioned Gideon and what's going on Mandalore. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, again, for that to happen, I think I think that Ahsoka and them have to make it back. I think maybe
Right.
they make it back, and I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't happen either. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Zeb, like as short as we saw him before.
Yeah.
like that they have
it
to.
feels
have him in the
weird that
season.
we just didn't get him in the show.
But we also
Mhm.
kind of predicted before that maybe we wouldn't.
I know.
Because they teased him and just we thought like,
Yeah.
like not that they couldn't pull it off, but also just production. Like it seems like it was an expensive character to even probably have him like
Mhm.
look like that for
Yeah.
that brief moment. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he's
We'll
doing
see.
stuff with Teva.
Yeah, we'll see.
He's doing New Republic Ranger.
We'll find
Stuff.
out.
Yeah.
We don't even know how the strike has affected the season
True.
2 production.
True.
Where they are in writing. Because
Writer's strike is over.
Filoni's
Do we
not
know
allowed
that
to
we're even
write
getting
either.
a season 2?
Yeah.
Filoni's not allowed to write anything either.
Do we know that we're even getting a
We
season
might not.
2?
It might
We
be
don't
just-
know.
It just changes it to limited series in the next chapter. Like,
We're not sure. Two things
It
I
just
just
says
remembered.
series finale.
series
We're-
finale.
Two things I forgot to mention. I know we're rapping, but these
Yeah.
will be quick hitters. One, Mon Mothma ages phenomenally. Mon Mothma is
rapping.
the exact same age as she was.
I know,
She wasn't
I
That's
know.
amazing.
She's the exact same age.
Same outfit.
She actually looks better than she did in A New Hope. I'll say it.
I'll say it. I'll say it.
I'll say it. I ain't
uh,
afraid.
Say it.
And I don't know if I think that the night troopers are mystical now. 'Cause
No,
I don't.
I don't think so.
But I
Die-
think
they
the
didn't-
catacombs.
They didn't die.
The cargo might be.
I
They
kept
didn't
watching to see
phase,
when they
like,
died to see if
fizzle
they would,
away.
and
They
instead they
did.
just went. Ah, and they went
I think
down,
the
and I was-
cargo might be though.
or his uncle calls them the duct tape troopers.
The duct tape. No, but the cargo looks like they're in literally like
Yeah, no, the catacombs, the cargo that they got out of the crypts of the dead bodies
yeah.
or whatever.
That might be Fallen Night Sisters.
That's
they're,
something they're bringing
because
they're
we've seen
bringing
the
stuff.
Fallen Night Sisters
Thrawn is a
in
wacky
He
dude.
is.
in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
We saw dead Night Sisters, and they did magic on them to
Brought 'em
resurrect
back.
them to help fight.
Yeah.
So we've already seen that.
Great mother.
It's not like something that
Man.
people are just throwing out, speculating. Oh, this would be cool because it's magic. Like
It's already been done.
it's already been done. We've seen it. We know it's possible.
Mhm.
Great mothers, I will need more of your dark magic.
Dark magic. Yeah.
They're like,
well,
Thrawn,
there you have
Thrawn
it.
is just dozing off.
Great
Hey,
mothers.
Thrawn.
They're like, yes.
I know what you're all thinking. Why so blue?
Why so blue? Why so blue? Not in Kansas anymore.
Come here, boy.
Come
here,
Thrawn
boy.
needs a nice toothpick.
I know what you're thinking.
You know what Thrawn's missing is a guy who, when they're heading into battlefield, still doing the last set of curls. Something like getting your last pump in before
Thrawn's got his
Eat your
magic
ass
arrow.
for juju bees.
Eat
Eat your red
The dark
eyes for
magic is his
jujubes.
arrow comes up. And we're gonna see Thrawn with the
Listen,
we're gonna
lad.
see Thrawn with the red mohawk.
You're saying it's Yondu? Yondu's saying,
Come here, boy.
hey, Quill! Quill! Come here, boy.
Come here. I'm gonna tell you something.
I'll tell you something. I didn't die. I was in that movie with Sylvester Stallone, but I'm still here, boy.
It's just all the blue Avatar.
Every blue character of
Yondu.
all time.
Man.
Is it cool? Yeah, he's cool. Mary Poppins, y'all.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. It's so good.
There you have it.
I love it. What an episode. What
Ahsoka-
a show. We're loving
Ahsoka
it.
Part 7.
This is great.
One more.
One more.
I said it there. I said it.
You said it. I remember now.
Sad.
One more.
One more. Let us know if you guys made it this far. Why? Drop your comments. Let us know
Why?
what you're
Yes,
thinking of
why?
the series so far. What are your predictions for the Ahsoka season 1
Yeah.
finale? Hopefully we get more. I can't wait to see where this story is going and how it wraps up. If we're getting cliffhangers, what that means for a possible season 2 or for the movie that's coming out. Thanks for tuning in. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash the notification bell. We'll catch you guys in the next one, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Senator Ziono.
You're the
shorter
worst.
and meaner and worse than I expected.
You're
Also, I don't
terrible.
think I've ever really met you, but we're now on the same show.
I like just hearing him say,
Saj Ventress.
Yeah.
And even
Saj
Count
Ventress.
Dooku,
Even Count Dooku.
who I
Man,
killed
why not
10
Ventress?
days.
Why not?
Ventress.
We got the sisters coming in. We got the mothers. We got the whole
He's got